Well, hi there, fans. This is Phil Simborg again with another video podcast for the world to see. And I've got a guest with me tonight, the great Steve Sax from LA. Say hello, Steve.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so Steve right now is he's in the top 10 Giants. He's a great player. He's been a Giant for many years. He's taught me a lot. And he also teaches me when I come out to LA very often. He teaches me to play in the other games, so I have a chance. And Steve, I just recently posted on Facebook. I was bragging about my partner in the boot camps, Mochi. With San Antonio, we played 10 matches and averaged 2.5 PR. I understand you came damn close to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I had 9 matches, ranging from 7 to 11 points, which I recorded, and I averaged 2.61, which was very surprising that I played that well. But sometimes you can get a little lucky in playing a low PR. Just, your opponents comply by giving you easy decisions, or you just don't have too many hard decisions. But I'll take the compliment where I can, and thank you.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. When you play a bunch of matches under 3 PR, you're doing incredible. How many of those matches did you win, and how many did you lose? Do you remember?
I played a total of 13-point matches. 4 of them were 5-point matches. I had 6 wins and 7 losses. So
do you agree with me that your PR is often lower when you're losing because you have fewer decisions to make usually?
I think if the match is lopsided and there aren't big cubes, it has a tendency of being lower, because more of the difficult decisions come when both sides are 4 away or fewer. But yeah, so if it's a real lopsided match, then, for example, I had a match with Kit Woolsey where it was a 9-point match in the consolation, and it was 4-4 to 9, and he gammoned me on a 2 cube. So he took a lot of the tougher, match decisions out of the equation.
Oh, in the semifinals in a tournament, I played a 9-point match with Carter, and I played at .065. It was a 1-game match with an 8 cube, and I did virtually everything right. So, that can happen. But yeah. Well, it was one. I played one great game. I mean, I'm sure you played games at 0, but the point is that that you did it over 9 games. So it's really. And it's not unusual for you to be that low PR. You're in the BMAB, and you're in the top 20 there. I know all about you. I scout out my competition, and I also scouted you out before we brought you onto the Backgammon Learning Center as a teacher. You're a great teacher. You know the game, and you help us a lot. Now, today what we're going to do is something that I often do after we have a Chouette. Today was a holiday. It's President's Day, so one of our players is a trader, and he said, "Hey, I can play today." So very quickly, Herb Carter and I ran to the Starbucks and met this guy, and we played. David Stein, nice guy, and we had a Chouette today. And there are 4 positions that came up, and you have not seen these yet. I'm going to test you on how you would do this over the board. And I've got the positions, and I not only want to see what you would do. After you decide what to do, we'll see if you're right or wrong, what decision-making process you use, how you come to make these decisions. I think there are 3 cube action problems and 1 checker play problem. So here's the first one. These are all money games from the Chouette. Reds on roll, cube action. What would you do? How do you go about deciding about cube action here? Cubes in the middle.
All right. Well, I take a look at the 3 variables that you generally want to look at when you're deciding cube. That's pips, position, and threats. And in this case, the race is even, so that's neutral. The relative position, I look at see how many points each side has in their board, and whether one side has a prime or not. And in this case, with red on roll, they only have a 2-point board. Most of their numbers are going to make a 3-point board and a 5 prime. So that brings us to threats. And so in this case, I would say that since you have 1s, 3s, and 4s to make a 5 prime, and your opponent is stuck back on your 1 point, it certainly looks like a double. Now it comes to the take decision. So I look at, I guess I could cheat a little and say that I'll use O'Hagan's law of 9 market losers. And certainly with 27 numbers to cover, seems like you're well over the 9 market losers, because if you cover and he doesn't come to the edge, you've already lost your market. So that's the doubling side. The taking side, I think that's a little more difficult. If blue had their 8-point, I'd be much more optimistic about taking this cube, but because blue doesn't have their 8-point, they don't have any spare 6s to play. And if you'll just assume that red is going to make their 5-point, they make their 4-point and a 5', now the 6s from blue, unless they roll a 2-6, are going to be forced off the midpoint. And because of the flexibility that red has with all their active builders, I think there's a fair chance blue's going to be forced to be squeezed off the midpoint and expose a second checker, assuming, regardless of whether red makes a 6' or not. So I think I would pass here because of the lack of the 8-point.
So first, let me show you the answer. And, of course, I haven't rolled these out because it just happened this afternoon. It's a small take, 0.047 take, and this was passed in the Chouette. But what I find interesting is your process. You use what they call PRAT, position, race, and threats, or you call it PIPs. And David Presser has been working as one of our group, who, as you know, has been very, very impressive in BABD. Right now, I think he's ranked number 2 as far as cube action behind Petco. And I asked him, what do you do to get so good? And he uses the same thing you use, position, race, and threats, to analyze the position. And if you have 2 points, you have a double. And if you have 1 point, something in one of those 3 categories, you probably have the take. So this is a small take, I guess, because gammons aren't that big. Is I think the main thing with 1 checker back, and and Red's got some bad rolls himself. Red doesn't like his 6s here, and most of his 2s don't play real good unless it's with something that's good with it. But what I really find interesting is you don't analyze it the way that I do and that I teach, and that is to always start with Woolsey's law and see if blue is taking first. Because if you come to the conclusion that you thought it was a pass, if you had done it that way, then you wouldn't have to worry about whether it's a double. If you decided that you weren't taking this cube, all that other work was wasted. Of course, you might do all that other work to decide whether to take it or not. But Woolsey's law is even if you weren't sure it's a take, if you think it's on the edge, then Woolsey says for sure you double. So we really do it a different way, as far as I do it a different way, as far as the approach goes. But again, can you tell me why now that you see it's a take? First of all, do you believe XG, and then tell me why you might take this cube?
Yeah, you really have to, if you're going to use XG, you're going to, for the most part, just trust that it's correct. I think there's few types of positions, maybe some trapping positions that I think might be better played, human against human than XG. But maybe I'm wrong there. But if you're going to use the tool, then you have to trust it. And
of course,
so yeah,
I would trust it more with the rollout, but I tend to believe that this is probably right. I guess I don't think the rollout's going to change it a lot.
Yeah, I'll roll a position out. Basically, Mochi told me one time, you should do a longer rollout, but if you do at least a couple hundred games, then that's at least good for a starter. So you can usually get a couple games done.
While we're talking, we'll start a mini rollout to see what happens. But why? What are the features of this game that would make you think you might want to take it? Why do you think blue has enough game here to take?
Well, he doesn't get gammon too much. I'm looking at the numbers here. It says 15%. I wouldn't have thought it would have been much more than that anyway. The race is okay. If you're going to have a couple of shakes to roll, a joker to get out, assuming red even makes their 5'. If they don't make the 5', it's possible you could get a direct shot. I'm not sure. I didn't go through all the numbers, but if he rolls, if red rolls a 6'5", he's going to leave. He's going to be forced to make his deuce point, I guess.
I'll help you go through all the numbers.
Dice distribution,
Dice distribution. We'll take a look at that, and you can see that red's got some very bad numbers. You named one, 6'5", 6'2", 6'6", 5'2". All of those create problems. By the way, how would you play a 5-1 if you were red?
Well, I'm going to make Yeah, because blue is kind of weak on his side, I'm going to make the 4-point. And you could make the 3-point and then not leave a shot at all, but blue's pretty weak on his side of the board, so I would make the 5 prime. And I mean, if you slot the 3, then you give yourself 4s and 5s to, march the prime further home. And if you played 5 to 4 and then 7 to 2, you're giving yourself more. You're giving him a weaker hit. He could then hit you with an ace, but it isn't that good for him. And if he comes up with a deuce, you'll have a couple of active abilities to attack with, or you make the prime and then slot, and you duplicate his deuces. I think I would play 5 to 4 and then especially with the cube, doing 5 to 4 and 8 to 3, slotting the edge of the prime and then duplicating his deuces.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's right or not.
I was tempted. I was tempted to make the 3-point. I don't know, but I think this is a lot of the reason that there might be a take here. There's some bad rolls for red, and these rolls get really, really bad if blue hits. If red leaves a shot and blue hits, and then of course if red doesn't hit back. So maybe there's enough game there, and like you said, you could jump out. He's got a couple of rolls to roll a 2 and then a 6, and
yeah, but even if red rolls even if red makes the prime or whatever, and then blue escapes, he's far from winning the game. So your upside is limited. I guess probably the main upside would be as if red rolls a 6-5 and then blue hits back, and then even then he's fighting, because the 6 checkers on the 6-point is pretty unpleasant.
Pretty bad. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you one other reason that I would be tempted to take this cube, and that is something that Jake had taught me years ago, and of course he covers it very well in his book with Walter Trice about Can a Fish Taste Twice as Good. Who has the tougher decisions to play? If you're playing human beings here, you're not playing Mochi or XG or Steve Sax, who's going to screw up more? I think red's got a lot more tough rolls coming up. Blue is going to try and get to the edge of the prime and get out. Blue's going to try not to leave another shot. He's going to make this point. I think blue's plays comparatively are going to be fairly simple. When does red come off this point? How do we play a 5-1? I'm not sure the answer to that, and we'll look at that in a minute. But would you agree that a human against human, that's another reason for blue to take?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're playing someone that you don't think is as good as you, then you're arguing for a take. I mean, actually, that's not the best example of what I'm saying, because
even if they're as good as me, they're gonna. Even if it was me playing me, I'm gonna play red worse than I'm gonna play blue for the next few rolls.
Yeah, now I see what you're saying. Okay, so you could have equal players, but somebody playing red's gonna have the more difficult decisions. Okay, I was going to a different subject there.
That's right. All right, let's take a look at our rollout. Let's see how we're doing. Rollout's making it a take, and it's making it an even bigger take. Oh no. Look at this.
It's right on the border. It's a tiny, tiny take.
Right on the border.
It actually would require quite a...
Yeah.
So it's a good reference position, essentially.
Yeah, and this vindicates your pass. This means that anybody who makes a .004 error, that ain't no error, because we don't even know if the rollout's right in. And now it's down to .003. So this is something that I learned doing a lot of work with Neil Kazaros. I'd be sitting there, I'd say, Neil, what do you think? And XG shows something different from what Neil thinks, and he says, roll it out. And I roll it out. Sure enough, Neil was right, because he not only knows the position, he knows where XG's weaknesses are. Look, it's coming down. It's real close. So this is borderline take pass. And again, against the human, I would be tempted to take it. And I just gave you an example of why. We're not sure how to play 5-1. Let's find out. Let's pretend we cube blue, and that we give red a 5-1. Let's see what the boss says. I'll do I do plus. And Steve is exactly right. Making the 3-point would have been a very, very bad play. And duplicating the 2s, as Steve said, is right. You nailed it. And I'm not sure I would have. I mean, I liked your play. But like I said, I would have been tempted to make the 3-point. I didn't commit because I'm a chicken. Okay? But again, this illustrates the point, I think. It's not just the 5-1 is not the only hard roll to play here. 6-2 would be not very much fun to play here for red either. I mean, how would you play 6-2?
I think I would just make the deuce point. Otherwise, you have to leave a couple of blots. And your opponent has you outboarded 3-2, so I would prefer just to make the 2 point, and then you still have 2 active builders and 1 inactive builder to fill in the 3 and 4 point.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. And I think you probably make the same play with the 5-2. Let's see. You're right. And 5-2, my guess is you still make the 2 point as well there.
No. With the 5-2, I'm going to make the 3 point here. And then you give yourself a chance to make a full prime.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I would have,
I don't know.
And I would have probably made the 2 point. Very good. Well, let's see. This is why Steve Sax is a giant and I'm not. Very, very good. All right. Interesting position. I'm glad you weren't in our Chouette today. Okay. Not that we wouldn't enjoy your company. All right, let's go to number 2. This is fun. So we're going to give you I'm not going to take off for that one for passing a .003. Okay, another cube decision. By the way, there was a bet on this one. Red is on roll cube action.
The red owns the cube.
This is recube action, yeah.
Okay, so red's way ahead in the race. Red has some decent amount of threats, but he has a checker back on blue's 1 point. He can't escape direct. He has to roll an indirect combination to get out. He's stacked on his 6 point. He's stripped on his 8 point, so he doesn't have an active builder on his 8 point. I can't even consider this as a pass here unless you're using Woolsey's Law and you're playing with some people you think might drop. So I think it's a take. The question is whether it's a redouble or not if you assume your opponent's going to do the correct thing. 1s and 2s are somewhat duplicated. I mean, to make his bar point or move up from the back. He's got some good 3s, 3-1 and 4-3 to make his 5 point. Some of the numbers that don't move the back checker, including 6s and 4s, are bearing down on the blot on Red's 2 point. So what I would do is I would just go through the numbers real quickly and try and see if you have enough good rolls that, you're going to reach O'Hagan's law of 9 or more market losers. And I think it's a redouble and a take, but I could be wrong here. I think maybe you need 1 active builder on the 8 point. You might have to move 1 checker back from the 6 to the 8 to make it a redouble. So I don't want to take the time exactly right now to go through all the numbers, but I would, I think I would redouble and take.
Redouble take. Okay, let me show you. A big redouble and a decent take. And the bet was somebody thought this was a pass. I don't name names even if it's me because I won't name the other people either if they screw up. But somebody bet that this was a pass. And again, another reason to take this cube, aside from the fact that all the things you said, is that again I think it's red that's going to have the tougher checker plays. Blue's checker plays are pretty simple. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that let's say this was a .01 pass. Just a bare pass, .001, or a tiny pass like the last one. The difference in your PR is going to be more than made up by checker play errors, and more than make up for mistakes in passing if your opponent has the tougher game to play. Now, this may not always be tougher for red 5 rolls from now, but at least we know for the next couple of rolls, Blue's rolls are going to be pretty much forced. He's going to come in and hit or come in and anchor, and it's pretty easy, whereas red has some challenging rolls here. I'll give you a challenging roll. Let's say that we get this properly, and it's a redouble and a take as it should be, and the cube's on 4, and now red rolls 4-3.
Okay, 4-3. Well, the 2 obvious choices are to make your own 5 point or to play 6-2 hitting and 13-10. I think I probably would make the 5 point here because if red doesn't come in, now you have 6s and 4s bearing on his 2 point and aces and deuces to move your back checker forward. It's true that he can hit you with a 1-6 or a 2-6, but you're incurring some risk regardless of how you play it. If you played 6-2 and 13-10, then now you're kind of, your priorities are on three different fronts here. Assuming that blue doesn't even hit you back, you have the one priority of trying to make your 2-point, so not to leave him an extra blot. You have a secondary priority into making your own 5-point, which you can accomplish with 1s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. And you have a third priority of trying to get your back checker out. So I'm not saying necessarily that because making the 5-point makes the position simpler to play that it's right, but you do have divergent priorities when you hit loose and bring a checker down.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I make the 5-point for another reason you didn't mention. When we make the 5-point, aside from getting hit, probably one of the worst things we're afraid of is he's going to roll a 2, and he sure as hell doesn't have timing for a 1-2 back game. So I'm not that afraid of him having the 1-2 back game with no timing. So I think the 5-point would be clear, I think. Let's find out. 4-3. And then there's something else I also like to do. I'll show you one of my favorite things. Yeah, making it right by a lot. So at least I'm as good as Steve Sax in this one. What I like to do is I like to go to analyze dice distribution and look at the worst rolls, because those are the hardest rolls to play. 6-3, 6-5, those are fairly easy. 5-4, 5-1, 5-4, 5-1. I get it. Well, let's see how you play a 5-1 and why.
I would play 13-8, 24-23. I mean, another choice would be to hit loose 8-2, but now you're playing with 6 blots, and it gets kind of messy. And if you just play 13-8, 24-23, I mean, he does have a few numbers to hit you, but far fewer than if you hit him loose. And now you have a direct escape route by rolling a 6 or a 1-5 by moving the back checker up.
All right, well, there's no question in my mind my one quickly goes 24-23. I was really tempted with the 5. I think I'm really tempted to play 17-12 and get another builder in the zone to do all kinds of stuff. And I'm not that afraid of the blot. 5-4 is a very good roll for him anyway to make this point. I'd almost rather see him hit me, and that's about all that hits this. So I think I like your moving up, but I'm going to play 17-12. All right. So we got a 10-cent bet on this one.
Sure.
I like to gamble. All right, 10 cents. I like 17-12. I think he rolls a 5-4. I'm not even sure he's going to be right to hit. Oh, damn it. You win. But, hey, I'm not too bad. I don't lose. We play in Chicago. You make a bet. Plus has to be .02 or more before you lose. So it's a tie. Okay.
Okay. One of the reasons I preferred 13-8 is that if you play 17-12, now you're duplicating your 6s. The 6s that escape and the 6s that make your own bar point. Whereas if you play 13-8, now you've got 1s, 3s, and 4s to make your 5-point and 6s to escape. So it's more diversification of your good numbers by playing 13-8, but not by much.
Uh-huh. I got you. And by the way, I think if I make my play, what's wrong with it is if he rolls a 5-4, he is going to hit, and that is a good game for him. He's not going to make this point. I think it's clear that if I leave him this, he's going to hit me with the 5-4. Do you agree with that? Let's give Blue a 5-4. Yeah, I think it gives him too good a game.
He's got to attack those outfield blots, and then he can be in position to win the game very quickly if red doesn't come in.
Let's see if we're right, and that's what's wrong with my play, giving him the 5-4. Yep, and it's right. He would hit with that. All right, let's go to the next one. We got 2 more. Interesting. That was number 2. Oh, I'm sorry. We only have 1 more because 3 I've already shown the answer. I don't have it without the answer. So I'll just show it to you anyway, even though the answer is going to pop up, unfortunately. I wasn't prepared for this. This was another cube action that was shocking. This was shocking. Blue doubled. I was red. I took the cube, and I was criticized for it, saying, how can you take this late? And it's not. It would be a beaver if not for the gamuts. It's an easy take. It's nowhere near a double. And I'm sure you would have gotten this one right because it's so hugely long to even double this. And I was challenged and almost bet that I didn't have a take here. So it's amazing. Look how strong Red's game is in this position. And it's all about this wasted share. I mean,
Blue is very inflexible. Red's got a very good chance to make his 5-point and have a game-winning position. There aren't nearly as many gammas because of the inflexibility. And now you're changing it to something with quite a bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Now the question. This is a position where I think somebody would have a right to question. I haven't run this. I'm just guessing as to what the cube action is here. What do you think?
Well, I think it would be very surprising for it to go from being almost a beaver to a drop. So this looks like a double take. I mean, if nothing else, you can have. You can still have an ace-point game to play. You don't have very good timing, and you're going to be forced off that 3-point in 2 or 3 rolls. But by that time, he may have lost his a good percentage of his active builders, and you can play a phantom back game by just escaping with 1 checker off the 22-point. So I still think it's a take.
I think it's a take too. And then I'm going to really go out on a limb and show you something that I found about these positions, because I have put a lot of work into these back games. But I'm sure this is a take. And it is
it's very strong.
It's a very strong take. But let me show you one little thing that would turn this into a drop. Watch this. That, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I run these a lot. Making the ace-point and opening the deuce-point here, it just went to a big drop. Let's see if I'm right.
Definitely.
This is a
1.2, 1.24. No, I'm wrong. 1.131.
1.13. Yeah, but look what happened. It went from a 0.7 take to a 0.13 pass, and people just don't recognize this. And this is why so many people make a horrible mistake when they're in back games to make their 1 point. Either way, most of the time it's wrong to make your 1 point when you don't have to. So look at the difference of this game.
That's an excellent point.
And the reason is when later on when Red gets the shot and hits it, even after he's made this 5 point, Blue's got a much better game from here to be able to come in on the 2. It's a huge difference than coming in on the 1. Okay, last one. By the way, you and I are going to do another video another night that's going to be exclusive to USBGF members, so I urge everybody to join the USBGF and watch our videos. I've got over 200 of them. We're separating them for intermediate, open, and for beginner, so that you can look at whatever speed you're at, so that if you're really an open player, you don't have to listen to very simple stuff that you know. And if you are a beginner or a lower level player, we're going to explain things more to you. So the USBGF is going to go one step better on their videos, and I'm going to help them, and Steve is too. Okay, last one from the Chouette today. And it showed the answer again. Oh, so mad. I'm so sorry that it did. Because I wanted to show it without the answer. Because this is not the position. I'm sorry. I was trying to show how you play the double fives. Okay. Somebody said that double 5 was played wrong by Herb here. So let's play the right way that Herb played it. Good, I can still show you the position without the...
Is Herb playing in your Chouettes?
Oh, yeah, Herb was there today. And
Herb is playing in the Chouettes? How much are flights to Chicago?
They're about 1 trip to the box. That's about all it takes. And we have free parking because we play right by our house. Herb is, as you know, I consider him to be the best player in the world that's played as much as he has and never won a tournament. But he did win the seniors out in L.A. recently. No, not in L.A., in Vegas. He won the seniors, so he's doing better. Okay, so Red had a double 5 to play, and then Red's, that's right, Blue played double 5, and now Red's on roll cube action.
Well, Pip's position and threats goes a little bit out the window here because Red's way down the race. His relative position, he's got a 1-point board. Blue's got a 2-point board. But, Blues doesn't have that much promise to improve its position. Red's threats are really what it's all about, because he has 3 active builders and 1 inactive builder. We're not going to count the checker on the 7-point to be able to make his 5-point. I can't see this being a drop at all. But is it a double? Do you have enough market losing sequences here where you're going to make your 5-point or your 4-point, and he's going to roll something crummy like 6-5 or another double fives? Forgetting about Woolsey's law for the moment, if you're going to be able to double somebody out, if it's not, it's still a take. Would I really double this here? I think in practice I probably wouldn't double, but prove me wrong.
Okay, I'll tell you why you're wrong. And it's not your fault that you're wrong. This is the last game of the day. We always double the last game of the day. Of course it wasn't a double. It was a game double against Herb. Because he had that horrible... The guy rolls 2 double fives. You see his shoulders slump. He goes, oh, and starts swearing. And usually you can slam the cube on the table. The guy gets up, we fold up the board and go home. Herb wasn't that bad. He was bad at the double 5 roll twice in a row, but it's nowhere near a double. You're absolutely right. And I think you've added 1,000 today, assuming that first one, because that first one is borderline. I think you got everything right, and every cube checker play right. And again, if you want to fight Chicago, I got another deal for you. You threaten to come, and maybe we'll take up the collection and pay you to stay in L.A. Guess it'll be cheaper for us for you not to come. It reminds me of the last time I was in Vegas with Akiko, and we went after the main part of the tournament was over, before dinner. We sat and we played some Pineapple Bluff Gambling, which is a fun game that I created, and I lost a bunch of money to her, as I usually do. And then we go out to dinner, and after dinner she says, let's go back and play some more. And I said, no, have you seen the Cirque du Soleil, the Beatles, which I love, which is my favorite? She said, no. Yeah, love. So I said, look, tickets are like $200 a piece for the best tickets I'm buying, because it's going to be cheaper than me playing you. So I took her to Love. She loved it, and it was great. It was the highlight of her trip, she said, other than the tournament and seeing her friends. She just never saw anything like it. She'd never seen the Cirque, and I think that's the best one. But I got off cheap for $200 compared to playing her. So if you want to come to Chicago, just let me know. We'll pay you not to come. Steve, you've proven your worth. I love your explanations and your thinking. You've reinforced the idea of Pratt, which, by the way, I learned from Joe Sylvester 25 years ago when he lived with me, and then I sort of forgot it because I've been working a lot with John O'Hagan, who uses gammon-adjusted take points for. He tries to estimate wins and gammons and comes up with numbers, and John, as you know, is incredible with numbers, and I'm not that good with numbers, and I forgot about Pratt, and then David reminded me, and now you're reminding me, and I think it's a great approach. Position, race, and threats, and if you've got 2 of them, you probably have a double. And if you've got anything in one of them that's reasonable, you probably have a take. Unless, there's lopsided situations where you could be up in the race behind the 6 prime and there's no way in hell you're going to win. So you have to look at those kinds of things. But your approach is beautiful, and it certainly is working for you. Steve, I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll talk about the next